that to me is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself and others that you care about, because it is always in there somewhere. And people, like, we create so much suffering around, oh my God, dad won't have this conversation. Dad, oh. Start with you.
For those living with SADS conditions, we are acutely aware of our own mortality. Life can change or end in a flash. In this special holiday episode of Let's Talk SADS Live, our guest Yvonne Heath shares with us that the best gift we can give ourselves and others is the talk about the end of our life wishes. Yvonne is a nurse turned author, speaker, and change maker. She was a nurse for 27 years in intensive care, chemotherapy, palliative, and hospice care across the US and in Canada. At age 50, she left her nursing career to blaze her own trail by bringing empathy and humor to the challenging conversations we are all avoiding, navigating grief, death, and dying. Tune in and let Yvonne show you that the toughest talks can leave us feeling lighter. Hi, good morning, Yvonne, and welcome to Let's Talk SADS Live. I'm so glad you're here today. I've had the privilege of knowing you for more than 10 years. But if you could just take a moment and introduce yourself, your background, and what makes you uniquely suited to talk about our topic today, which is the best gift you can give your family and yourself is to prepare for the end of your life. Not a topic that people always associated with gift giving and holidays, but we think this is a really important topic that we shouldn't go into the new year without doing. So what brought you to this? What's your background?
Thank you, Heather. And I'm so just honored to be here. And the truth is, what makes me uniquely qualified is 27 years as a nurse and excessive suffering. Suffering in my own life and suffering in taking care of people of all ages, of all diagnoses, of whatever, people who died suddenly, people who had long illness, and watching people who were well prepared for end of life and normalized conversations, allowed all of their hard feelings, laughter, brought it all in. And when the person died, that, someone who they loved died, there was peace. And then I was also witness, which was more often and more common, people who did not have these conversations, were ill prepared, didn't laugh, treated people to death, ignored what reality, and the excessive suffering that I witnessed, and families fractured beyond repair because everyone had different ideas of what should happen when mom was dying at a time where they should be supporting one another. They were no longer speaking. And as a professional, I suffered. It was like being a part of this. I suffered excessively watching this and wishing they could do it differently. So it's what we normalized, right? We've normalized that in our society. Like, let's not talk about things. I talk about proactive living over here. We're reactive. We wait until we're in a crisis, then we figure out what we're doing. So I want to change that. And the reason I wanted to change it is because I was suffering myself. So yeah, I looked around, who's the voice for change? And then I looked and I saw her in the mirror. Oh, it's me. Because it starts with you and it starts with me, right?
Well, these topics are so taboo, but of course, people with our conditions, which is sudden arrhythmia death syndromes, don't have the privilege of maybe thinking they are going to live to 85 and die surrounded by friends peacefully at home. It could happen today. It could happen tomorrow.
Absolutely.
It's sudden. That's the first word. So, you've had experiences on both ends. Mm-hmm. Why is it so important for our community in particular to talk about these difficult conversations?
So, again, my life experience, first of all, the elephant in the room, the hard thing that none of us want to face is we do not all die of old age, and we don't always get a warning. And I've talked to so many people about end of life planning, and they're like, oh, well, I'm just in my 50s, so I don't need to do this. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. You haven't heard. Like, we don't all die of old age. And like, isn't it? It's so absurd. I'm sorry. It's absurd because, when you have like SADS, when you have a diagnosis that you could have a fatal arrhythmia, it's in your mind. You could also go outside and get hit by a bus. You could trip. I had one lovely human in her 30s was having a house party, and she went down the stairs to get ice and fell and hit her head and died. I mean, that's just the hard reality. And as you know, my beautiful niece Bella was diagnosed with a SADS, like a CPVT. God, I'm not going to try. Catecholinergic polymorphic, blah, 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 a SADS thing. She was 7 years old, and, we had no idea. So this was at the forefront. And I also have a son who struggles with addiction, and he has had friends, dozens of friends all around him die. And it was a possibility that, he would die. I had to face that. And so we always have a choice, right? We don't always have the choice we wish we had. We have a choice where we can radically accept the reality of life, that life is unpredictable, change is the only constant, and prepare for anything. So I've got the word imagine here. I imagine a world where we're 18 and it's like, oh, I'm an adult now. I'm going to do my advanced care plan, my end of life plan, my power of attorney. And we just normalize that. Could you imagine the difference our world would be? Because most people are, cricket. They're going to talk to dad or mom or someone because they're of a certain age or they have a diagnosis. And then they're going to start talking about end of life planning. What an awful time to talk about it. Right? It's like organ donation. I'm not saying you have to do it, but have the conversation before you have to. Register as an organ donor if you're going to be an organ donor. Have the conversation and don't wait until you want to. I love people say, well, I don't want to talk about that. So yeah, I get it. Don't wait till you feel like talking about it.
In your career as a nurse, what did you see and experience when people didn't have these discussions with their families, and what were the outcomes?
So I wrote my book, Love Your Life to Death. I interview people ages 11 to 101. I actually did some comparisons. This is what happens when people have a plan and have open conversations, and this is what happens when they don't. And it literally is like day and night, regardless of the outcome, right? So people who are willing to have the conversations and again, allow all the emotions. I'm sad. I'm going to miss you. Oh my gosh, this is hard to talk about. Yes, it is. What about that ring that everybody wants? And there's 4 people. Let's talk about that now. They got things out of the way so that when they died, their family could move forward, and they created beautiful memories, right? Like I have been beside people with ALS, with cancer, with any diagnosis, and there's laughter and ridiculousness and silliness, and then crying and sadness. And then again, on this side where it's just like statues and no one's talking about what's really happening. And you walk in and it's like so heavy, right? Whereas I know like grief and joy can coexist, right? And to bring in laughter and joy, right? It doesn't have to be one or the other. So I've witnessed some beautiful, beautiful moments. And again, I wrote about it. There is opportunity in the dying process. So the thing that I encourage people to do is like, what scares us the most about dying? Because I mean, as far as I know, like none of us are going to live forever.
No one's exempt.
Right. But like, really, like when I do a talk and I say, who doesn't want to die? And everybody puts their hand up. And then I say, who wants to live forever? So doesn't that sound exhausting? Like, I don't want to be here forever. We'd be like those little apple, crunched up people. Like, what? of course not. So I just want to live the heck out of my life now. And I also heard people promising their children that they would make it, that they would live through something. And I just, it like terrified me. And again, when I was writing, our twins were 9, I said they were kind of like our experiment, because all the conversations, the tears, the hard times, they were a part of them. And when I didn't need to be strong for them, I grieved with them. When I didn't know the answer, I said, that's my superpower. I'm very comfortable being a hot mess. I'm saying I don't have the answer and I don't know, and this is so hard. We want to, that's what I tell people, to allow your heart, humor, and humanness. Like, it's hard. Sometimes we don't have to have all the answers. We can learn together, we can grieve together, and it can be beautiful looking back.
So tell me a little bit about medical futility, like the excessive measures that are often used that you probably saw, and quality versus quantity of life at the end of life. I mean, again, these are choices that we can make today that can inform our loved ones and prepare them so that if we can't speak for ourselves, they're being enacted, or that we're even making that, we're making that choice, as uncomfortable as it might be for our family. At least the choice has been made, and they're not having fights over the hospital waiting room. So what did you see in terms of, what was used at end of life that just increased the patient's suffering?
Oh my God. So many things that we don't even have time, especially in the chemotherapy clinic, because we encourage people, right? Fight the good fight, battle this, don't give up. What was literally destroying my soul was people that were withering away. They had no quality of life per their standard, right? Quality of life, what is enough for you, is very individual, right? Like, that is up, everybody's different. But I would have people say, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want this chemo, transfusion, surgery. I don't want to end up in the intensive care. Their families were so terrified of death that I would go like this, Heather, please tell your doctor how you feel. Tell your family how you feel. No, they don't want me to give up. And I'm here to say there are worse things than dying. Suffering is worse than dying. Being in a body prolonging a sick life where this person no longer has what brings them joy and makes life worth living for them. And I'm sorry I have to say, and this is my tough love, it's selfish to want someone to live because you're afraid of them dying, and because they're figure out what you believe about life and death. First of all, I think that's something to visit, like tell people, because I choose to believe we stay spiritually connected. I will be so happy when someone is free of their tired, sick body. My aunt just died, and she was like a mother to me. And when she died, I was sad, and I was so grateful that she left that tired, old, sick body that she no longer wanted to be in. She no longer wanted to be in it. So I encourage and invite everyone to really reach in and figure out what scares you so much about this, because to live in fear of what is inevitable, that is a hard way to live. That's a hard way to have joy in your life. It robs you of your joy to live in fear of death. I live in fear of not living the heck out of this life. I tell my kids, I don't know how long I'm here. I have a lot to say, so I'm going to be really mad if it's not that long, but that's why I'm talking a lot now. I don't know. I'm here as long as I'm here, and I accept that.
Do you think accepting your death makes putting purpose and meaning and joy and happiness into your life all the more important?
Yes. I mean, it just allows for it when we accept our mortality, right? And, we always say, oh, I have time to do that. I have time to that. I mean, I don't know how much time. And I'm going to do what I can to be very healthy. I'm going to do what I can to live, a quality life. I don't know what's around the corner. And that's the whole other thing. Like two things we all have our vision board. Did your life turn out exactly, if you ever had a vision board in your 20s, did it turn out exactly as you planned, Heather? Mine didn't. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. But we're here now and we get to do this. And I will tell you, my whole thing is PPE, be proactive, practice, and teach by example. Be proactive, practice, and teach by example. So I don't tell anyone to do anything that I'm not doing. I have had these conversations with my family. We have these conversations. We just normalized it. It's not scary to talk about death anymore, and that is possible. And when the twins turned 16, and people say, how do I start an awkward conversation? I went, awkward conversation coming up. Remember how we met all these people that are alive because of organ donation? They're like, well, yeah, Mom, of course we'll register. Why wouldn't we? And they registered at age 16. Now, we never have to have that conversation. I've been at the bedside in the intensive care, having the conversation with someone whose family's completely distraught because they're on life support. It's not the time to have that conversation. That's excessive suffering that we could avoid. And the other thing, they turned 18. I said, okay, awkward conversation. Remember, I said power of attorney, end of life plan. My goal is to have everyone normalize that you're 18, you're an adult, create an end of life plan and power of attorney. And, we didn't do any. So we didn't do wills because they have absolutely nothing to give away. My son says, I'm going to give everything to my friend Jacob. And I was like, Tanner, you don't have anything. And we had banter. But what I want to normalize is every year at tax time, we review the power of attorney for care and for finances. And when, we'll create a will, even if there's nothing there, we'll put it in there so that every year you normalize it, that you update it, or when there's a change. That to me is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself and others that you care about, because it is always in there somewhere. And people, we create so much suffering around, oh my God, Dad won't have this conversation. Dad, start with you. And if you have a parent or somebody who will not have the conversation, have the talk with those that will be the decision makers, right? Because with a lot of the older generations, it's a lot of damage control. We're not going to get them there, right? We haven't normalized that, but let's start with ourselves, creating our power of attorney and end of life plan. And these are my wishes and I want this. I mean, I've said so many times, do not put me in a freaking coffin. Thank you very much. And we just talk about it. That's the choice we get to make, right?
How has you wrote this book, which is great. I recommend it to everyone. Love Your Life to Death. You wrote this back in 2015, I think.
Yes, I now have the 10th anniversary. Yes, 10 years ago.
So how has the MAID movement in Canada made these discussions more acceptable? Has it helped?
Well, I think that it just kind of like hospice, MAID is bringing the conversation to the forefront, whether people believe in it or not. It is an option for people, right? And so it is, once again, I've heard many, everyone comes to me with their death story. I'm like the death diva. And I've heard nothing but amazing end of life conversations or moments with MAID where, the family was able to sing and dance and share memories. And then, because the person's not choosing to die, they're already dying. They're choosing when they're right. And so that's something that you have to have that conversation, because I've heard a few stories that just hurt my soul where people are opting for MAID and they're not telling their family until the 11th hour because they don't want their family to interfere. Now that to me is gutting. that they're so afraid that their family is going to try to prevent them from this because they're so death phobic. Isn't that awful? Like that's
awful.
It's awful.
Yeah.
It's really awful. Like that hadn't even occurred to me, right? That could happen. And so they're either, some people have had made by themselves because they just don't trust that their family will be able to be a part of the process. So I think what another thing it's doing is opening up the conversation, because it is an option for people, and it's an option for a reason. And, again, I mean, people might think I'm crass for saying this, but, I think we need to look inside and see, what are we so afraid of? Because when we euthanize our pet, right? Like when our dog is suffering and we put our dog to sleep, I mean, we don't think we're a horrible person. We think that we're doing something kind. Like we would never let Fido suffer the way we would let Grandma suffer.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. I'm sorry. Like to me, it's like, even my mom, after her sister died, she asked me, do you think about my death? What do you like? Are you nervous about it? Or whatever? And I said to her, you know what? Selfishly, I want you here for the next 20 plus years for you. And what I really wish is that you are here as long as the quality of your life is enough for you. And I believe that I don't want you to outlive any of your children or your grandchildren, because I know that would be too much for you. And she's like, oh my God, you're right. I don't want that. Oh yeah. And I said, that is what I wish for you.
Yeah.
For myself, I want you to be here forever.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's shift gears a little bit to the I Just Showed Up movement that you've started. This is really about self-care and showing up for yourself first and other people second. Mm-hmm. Talk to me how you arrived at I Just Showed Up.
Oh, well, it's interesting because when it was 2014 and our son had been spiraling with, he had big grief. He wrecked his knee. His snowboarding dreams were destroyed, and he spiraled down a road of drugs and addiction. And I was a nurse, and my husband's a paramedic, and I'm thinking, oh, the medical community, God, they'll take such good care of us. And what I realized, people were avoiding us because they didn't know what to do or say, because we want to fix things. We want to say the right things. And when we don't know what to do or say, we avoid. And I was just looking around like, and I know people care. They're just so terrified to do or say the wrong thing that they run the other way. And I kind of started like, what is wrong with this picture? Like, if healthcare professionals are not able to be a part of our journey because it's uncomfortable for them, I'm like, well, how do you think it is for us? Anyway, and so I, again, just like when I wrote my book, I said, I don't know, I have to do something. We have to do something. And I said to Jordy, like, people need to understand they don't have to fix it. It's awkward. It's uncomfortable. They need to just show up. And when I heard that, it was just like, bells and whistles went off. I said, we need to just show up, and we need to show up for ourselves first, meaning that we need to reach in and figure out, what are my fears? What am I missing? How check in mentally, physically, emotionally, what scares me about death, all these things. So we created the I Just Showed Up movement. We have these bracelets here. There we go. And it says very intentionally, I just showed up because I want to teach by example. I don't want to tell people, right, what to do. And I just show up for myself first, because otherwise I can't be there for other people. I want to be the very best version of myself. And we've also normalized, oh, they're so great. They put everybody else first. They're so giving, and they always put themselves last. And we've celebrated that. I would like to change that paradigm and say, I say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. What can you do to change that? Right? Because when we're like dragging ourselves around, we're not helping out anybody. We're being a poor example. We're not giving our best self. So show up for yourself first, and just show up for others with whatever boundaries you need. What's okay for me right now, what's not okay. And that changes, right? Like someday you feel like, dun, 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 I can do anything. And other days you're like, kind of out of film right now, and I don't even know why. Yeah. Right? It's not rocket science. And you know who gets it the most is children. I've done so many talks. I've done them for schools. The grade 2 kids, they got it. They knew how to just show up. We're just so
give a hug, look after themselves, but also give a hug, say something kind.
Go like this when you're sad. Sit with your friend when she's crying. You don't have to say anything.
Yeah.
That's why I did my TED Talk. When you don't know what to do, you don't know what to say. Just show up.
Yeah. Well, our community, you know, has suffered a lot of loss. People have lost children, family members, a loss of their own identity as an athlete, living with the grief of what they can't do, the restrictions, the progression of their disease, you know, going from diagnosis to maybe heart failure to then heart transplant. It's all these stages, you know, that we are living through. And I think our service to our community is to have these so-called taboo conversations and normalize them and normalize showing up for ourselves as well.
Absolutely.
Because we're not always getting it we can't always get it from the medical community. They, you know, treat and release. We're back in the wild.
Yes.
So what tips would you have for our group in terms of living a full life? You have 7 takeaways in the back of your book. I just want to address it. Number 1, the best time to talk about, plan, and prepare for grief is when we're young and healthy. What is the next best time, Yvonne?
Now. Maybe not Christmas morning or, you know, whatever you're celebrating, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa. Yes. Now, just start with you.
Yeah.
Start with you.
Tip number 2, it takes a village.
Create your compassionate community. You know, people will say, oh, they didn't ask me. I said, ask them.
Yeah.
When people don't know what to do, they don't know what to say, they're awkward, and we have to stop with the, I don't want to interfere, I don't want to mind my own business. Stop minding your own business. Yeah. Just show up. Create a compassionate community where people can recover out loud from whatever they're recovering from.
Tip number 3, when someone is grieving,
just show up. Be a hot mess.
To be empowered. Tip number 4, to be empowered, resilient, and compassionate.
Show up for yourself first.
Yeah.
Teach by example, bring your best self to the table.
Burnout is a big deal in our community with a lot of caregivers.
Absolutely.
We have a lot of parents, moms, dads, you know, trying to look after kids with these conditions. It's not easy.
Well, my sister, and I have to give a shout out to my sister, Rachel. She is a beautiful soul. And I mean, my niece is now 21. She is rocking. She's in university. She is living her best life. She's not letting this diagnosis define her. And my sister, I mean, pretty hard to not carry worry with you. I mean, come on, is in this community. But, you know, my sister there's a great, here's my buffalo. I have all my toys, right? And it says, I love this. I say, cows run away from the storm while buffalo charge towards it and get through it quicker. When I'm confronted with a tough challenge, I do not prolong the torment. I become the buffalo. My sister embraced this. She learned everything. And connected with her SADS community. And she went and taught her, the school, taught all the kids CPR, created heart-safe schools. Would anybody choose a diagnosis? No. What you do with it is what you get to choose. It's like with my son. I don't want to know everything I know about addiction, but I needed to figure it out. I needed to, right? So we're buffalo.
That leads right into tip number 5, structure life in such a way that you are self-reliant.
And so are the people around you. And when we could have a whole conversation about that burnout. And the thing is that it's when you're pretending you're fine when you're not, and trying to do everything for everyone else. This is already hard enough, right? So you can't also do all the other things. And we have celebrated the martyr and, she does everything or he does everything, they do everything. And let's fire all the martyrs and the people who don't want to ask.
Right. Tip number 6, find your post and hold on to it. What is your post?
So I love this because I got that from a 101-year-old fabulous woman. And it's interesting because when I say life is unpredictable, change is the only constant, prepare for anything. When people say to me, oh my gosh, I can't live without this person, I say, ooh, what can you do to change that? Or I don't know what I'll do if my dog dies. I'm like, if your dog dies, your dog's 14. I'm just saying it's going to happen. So a post is something that you kind of gives your life and this journey we call life greater context, something you can hold on to at any time. So for some people, that's their religion. but a spirituality, meditation, yoga, music, art, something that you can turn to that can bring you joy and also support you when you're grieving and spiraling. And for me, it's nature. I'm a tree hugger. I'll go out and hug them trees, and when I'm grieving, I'm laughing because when my son was home for 10 months and making my life, we were just like spiraling. I gardened. I have more perennials than like the garden shop, let me tell you. Yeah. Find what's meaningful for you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And tip number 7, and this will be our last question, because I think it's a great place to wrap up. What will your legacy be?
What will your legacy be? And you know what? It's interesting because I mean, I left my nursing career and wrote 2 books and created the I Just Showed Up movement. Well, that's just madness. I didn't see any of that coming. But I will tell you, a legacy of just showing up with kindness and being the person that says hello to the neighbors and taking the blinders off instead of ignoring someone who is crying. That is a beautiful legacy. The person who loves animals, whatever feeds your heart and soul and feels good to you, make that a great part of your legacy, right? Like, my grandmother's a heck of a seamstress. My other grandmother, wow, she was a great gardener. Whatever, leave something positive, and that is up to us, right? And here's the other thing about burnout and legacies. No one can make us happy, right? That is also exhausting, trying to make other people happy. We got to do the Mel Robbins, let them live their life, let me live my life, right? So whatever, a legacy of kindness is the greatest, and just showing up is the greatest legacy you could leave.
Awesome. That's great. So what we've learned today is live your life to the fullest, learn to grieve and support others, and have the talk about end of life long before it arrives.
Normalize the conversations throughout life. There are opportunities, or create them.
Yeah. Yvonne, thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom, your enthusiasm. It's infectious. You make this hard topic digestible. It's an important one people should have. So we have the 2 books. There's a link on the episode notes. The first one is Love Your Life to Death. And Yvonne's latest book, which she just finished and arrived at her home yesterday, is Hold It Up Again, and say the title, please.
It's Addiction, Grief, and Joy, A Son's Struggle and a Mother's Love, How to Just Show Up with Heart, Humor, and Humanness no matter what.
Yeah. So these are 2 really important books that you've created.
Thank you.
You are very generously giving 25% of each book sale to the SADS Canada Foundation, which we really appreciate. So if people are looking for a gift,
yeah, I'll be so happy. Get them something soft or something too.
Absolutely. Addiction has hit all of us for sure. We know that. And we would love to have you on again to talk about that topic. But
100%. So yeah, if people go to the website, YvonneHeath.com, just in the note, just put SADS, and I'll know, and I'll send, and we'll donate 25%.
Oh, that's really generous. Well, thank you so much for your time today. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Really appreciate all your wisdom. Thank you.
I will just show up for you anytime. See what I did there?
Yeah, I love it. Thank you.